I would probably have close to 250 pieces in the collection. Probably between a third and half would be West Australian artists.
Perth interior designer Jackie McPhee has been collecting Aboriginal art for 12 years. Her love for this particular art style has led her to collect one of the most important paintings in Western Australian Indigenous art history, the Spinifex painting.
Well, Ambra, this is probably the most special painting in the whole collection because it was done by the Spinifex people who were in Western Australia, a very remote area, and where holes are dug, water comes up out of the ground.
In the 1950s, atomic bomb trials were taking place in parts of the West Australian desert.
The government had to send patrol officers out to find out how many little family groups were there, but of course it was such a vast area they couldn't find them all, so a lot of those little family groups died. A lot of the old people panicked and they refused to go to Warburton, but most of the people were transported up to Warburton Mission.
The repercussions of the atomic testings left the land inhabitable for more than 30 years.
The giving of the gift was a beautiful intention and giving from the people, but unfortunately they didn't realise what they'd been given in return.
Michella Hutchins from the Wardun Indigenous Centre in Injured Up says that even though the gesture was there, it was only symbolic.
The reality is people are still suffering today because of the radiation bombs, you know. And it's a sad but true reality. A lot of that earth will be no good for thousands of years to come and people still living on that land.
However, in 1996, the Spinifex Arts Project was established that saw a series of 10 paintings bequeathed to the West Australian people in exchange for their land.
Indigenous dot painting is a technique used by the artist that allows them to decide what aspect of the painting or the story is to be kept secret and what part of the story is for public domain. Western Australian Pinchupi artists first lay out their design, then fill in the remaining space with dots.
We have the very colourful work, but we also have the wonderful work up in the Kimberley where they paint in ochres, and the most famous of all the ochre painters like Rover Thomas, Queenie Mackenzie, Jack Britton. Paddy Jumpinen was the first one that Mary Maha had him started to paint on. He came over to Mary and said, "Hey Mary, I want to paint like him." And he started, and of course he became the most famous of all of the artists.
The returning of the land to the Spinifex people saw the creation of a new, vibrant and energy-rich product, putting Western Australia on the international art scene.